Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to open up one of these servers and actually disassemble what's inside. So if your model is not one of these particular ones, whether it's new or older, they're all very similar to the point where if you watch this video, you could adjust and adapt to your particular model. They're all modular, they're all very similar, so let's just get started. So normally there's a latch on two sides. You usually just depress this and pull it out simultaneously. So, you know, whether it's this particular one or this newer model, it's the same exact way. So just push the top and then pull out. Now I only have one hand, so let me try to do that for this particular one. So you see how that just rolls out. And just make sure to remove all the cables in the back first, and you'll have a free, you know, rolling of the server out itself. So just in the back here, I am going to remove all the plugs first. So I have all of these labeled, so that's easy to find and easy to plug in once I have to re-plug the plugs back in. So make sure to take a picture, and so you could easily put the cables back in after you do maintenance on it. I'm just going to roll this out. Like so. And normally there will be a latch here, so make sure to unlock it. There will be a symbol here that it's unlocked. This one's unlocked. And you simply bring it up. Bringing it up will unlatch this a quarter, and you simply pull it out now, like so. Now all Dell servers are very modular, so you'll see there is a memory module here that just completely comes out. You know, there's fans that can be replaced. That's also just easy pull out. So I'm going to show you all of that. In this video, I'm going to add a couple of CPUs to this, and you could just see the process. And once again, all of these are completely similar. You know, so whether it's a more modern ones, or this older one here, you know, you could use this knowledge. And past or present servers, they're all the same. So this will give you an idea of what's involved. So keep in mind, this is a beginner's video, but I am going to disassemble all of this down to the CPU, add a CPU, put all of this back in, and you know, you'll see how there's not really much to it. So just to give you an idea of the unlatching mechanism here, once I unlatch this, it pulls this out a quarter of an inch, and then this thing completely lifts out. So this one is kind of a spare for me, and I'm going to use this as a spare parts for the other one. So I'm going to completely disassemble this. So starting with the memory module, I have to take this out, and I have to get access to the CPUs and the fans. So I'm going to take these CPUs out, but first I have to take out the memory, take out the fans, the chassis fan here, and also take out the CPU and its heatsink. And to get started here, you'll see for this memory module, there's a release button. So you're pushing the release button, this comes up. I'm going to take this out. Now, just one aspect of this is this module actually holds 8 DIMM slots. So let me just open this up and show you. So these are just normal DIMM slots that you would see. Of course, it's ECC. Now if I want to put this back in, you'll notice what I'm doing here is I have to put it back in that slot, and once in a while it'll get stuck. Now if it gets stuck, what you want to do is you want to push the release button so that it releases that mechanism, and then push down where the release button is to reseat this. So that's how you unstuck one of these basically memory modules. and this one is still a little bit stuck, and I'm going to push down, and I am going to actually use a little bit more force. Now I've had that seated, but if it gets stuck, just push the release as you're pushing down to reseat it, and this one's reseated like that. Now I am going to take out these two CPUs, so I have to take out all the memory modules. This is just a empty slot placeholder, so just taking these out, taking this particular one out, and these are just empty slots. This is an empty slot, and now I just have to take out these particular fans, and these I just squeeze and lift up. Notice how modular everything is. So, there's really nothing to it. Now you might want a paper towel or something like that because it does get greasy. There is a little bit of grease on some of this. So once I remove all of this, simply by squeezing the top, here, and now I have to remove this. So lots of times you'll see these here, and this is where you might have to figure certain things out depending on your model, but all of them are fairly similar. When you see an arrow like that, you either lift up or you push. So I'm gonna push, and you see what happens. It lifted that. So let me do that again. And so when you see an arrow like that, that's a clue as to what direction you either push or pull. So doing that, and then this particular one also, so this lifts up, and you'll notice this is kind of like a handle. So after this comes up, this whole thing can be taken out. So I only have one hand here, but I'm going to take this whole thing out, and you could see just how handy this is and how modular all of this is. So if I wasn't filming here, I would be done in 5 minutes. Now I have this opened up, and now I'm going to take these two CPUs out and basically put it in another computer, another server. So just to show you, everything is fairly familiar that you see here. There's nothing that's unusual or out of the ordinary. Even with the power supplies. So the power supplies, you simply squeeze. So what I did with the power supplies, this is what you'll see in the back. You simply squeeze this and pull out. So that's what release, there's the release mechanism there on the side. And so this particular one has 4 power supplies that are hot swap. So that's exactly what I did here. And this is the connection point for the hot swapping. So that's nice and easy just for the power supply. And you can see right now it's basically 80% disassembled. I just have to show you now the CPUs itself. So let me go ahead and start with the CPUs now. So this particular one only has 2 CPUs, and I am going to put another 2 CPUs into this one, and you'll notice how it looks like when it has no CPU in it. So I'll simply take out this film and then replace it with the CPU. So the first thing I want to do is release the heatsink. So that is simply pushing on this, pulling it out slightly, unhooking it, releasing it, and there's going to be one in the front and one in the back here that I am going to push slightly out. So let me not block the view of this. Push down, and then out a little bit, down and out, and then this releases it like so. And if I lift this up, lift this side up. So let me give a better angle here. Lift this side up. And now the heatsink just comes out easily. And when the heatsink comes out, that's the particular CPU. And you'll notice in the CPU here, I just unhook this particular one like so. So again, it's pushing down and out this way. So I'm gonna give myself some room here. This particular one is all the way on the inside, so that's how it looks. And this might be hard to film, I might be blocking the view, but you'll see I pushed out and over to unhook it, and then this thing simply comes out, and I'm gonna lift. So I'm gonna lift, and that's the particular CPU. Now if I take out the CPU, and let me clean my hands first before I do that. Now I'm going to take out the CPU. There are no pins in this CPU. It's all flat. You can see there's an arrow there. That's the corner. So just to identify the corner, there's a particular arrow in that corner. And now I'm going to take out the CPU nice and gently and show you that. But first, on this other side of this computer, I am going to set this up. So I'm going to push down and have this come out. And, lift this up. Actually, this thing is actually not set up right. There you go. That's more like it. So I'm gonna take this out too. Unhook this. And that's the sheet that's holding it in place. I'm gonna take this out now. And you see that's where the CPU is gonna be seated. So I'm just prepping this side of it, lifting this up for now, because I'm only going to have one hand. Lifting this up for now. I'm going to move that CPU over to this area. So right here, I'm going to lift out the CPU gently. So this is the CPU. Notice this has no pins. There's no pins at all. So it's just based on contact. So I'm just taking this out, putting this over here. And I am gonna put more thermal, the thermal, alright, so I'm gonna seat it here. So it's nice and seated. And I'm going to reapply the thermal paste up on the top here. But you'll notice now I could just simply reseat this. Make sure this is all set. And put this particular, make sure this is hooked. And as I'm pulling this down, so you just have to watch out for that. I'm going to have to use two hands, so I'm going to get off the camera here. So I reseated the CPU. You notice this is nicely hooked. That's hooked in also. So that two spots that are hooked, that's pushing the CPU down. And now I'm going to put the heatsink on. So this is just for a fast demo, but I'm going to put the thermal paste back as is. But here I have the heatsink. I'm just going to gently place the heatsink down. And you can see there's a particular placement for the heatsink. And, you know, positioning it like so. And now I just have to, you know, push this down and make contact. And then it's going to lock in place. So once again, I'm going to need 2 hands for this, so I'm going to get off camera. But I think you get the point with, you know, just seating it correctly and having this align. So let me go off camera and do that, and then come back and describe it. So you notice this particular one didn't quite align. That's okay. You know, there is room there, but as long as this part is aligned, you know that it's all good. And this was not, you know, something that you did. It's just the way these things are seated. So this is all set. I'm going to take this one out. So once again, pushing down and out and up, down, down and out and up. And this particular pin for the CPU, pushing down and out and up, and then simply removing this. So this is removed. I'm gonna, you know, try to keep this up when I put the CPU down. So that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna need 2 hands for that particular one. But just going back here, removing this middle one. And these come in pairs, and they're usually every other one. So this one matches up with this one. This particular one actually has a different CPU, 2 different CPUs, so I know that this one is the matching pair for this other one. So, you know, taking this out, like so. CPU time, pushing down and out. Bring this up, take this out, and you know, gently taking out the CPU and then moving it over. Now that I have the 4 CPUs in place, I am going to put the fan frame back on, and keep notice of these edges as you're trying to align that case that seats the fans. So I'm going to take this, you know, make sure the arrow is pointing to the front like it was before. You know, keep notice of, you know, these things seating into that and into that. And, you know, as I am putting it down, you'll see how it just seats down like that. And just snaps right in. And now I'm simply putting the fans back in. So you'll notice that there's the fan plugs right in the middle here, and that these things go in this direction. So this particular plug, you know, plugs in to there. And then it just goes right down. And you'll notice that by the airflow also, that arrow. So pay attention to the arrows. The airflow is always from front to back on these servers. You know, second one, easy. You know, another one, this is to the right from front. You know, it just goes in. This goes in. Just drops in actually very smoothly. Drops in smoothly. And you'll notice, you know, gotta pay attention. I almost put it on backwards. And now it's simply the memory modules. Now, as I had mentioned previously with the memory modules, again, notice the notches. So there's a notch right there, and there's a particular notch right there. And so this here is actually seated based on those notches. So I'm basically pushing it down. Now once again, if I have trouble seating it, I want to push the release so that this bottom thing here is not jammed. So I'm pushing down and, you know, hearing the click. And once I'm able to push that down, that's all set. So I'll do the same with the other ones. So normally it's not going to get stuck normally. So once I put this down and I push it, so this one actually did get stuck a little bit. Once again, I'm going to push the release, you know, push it down as much as I can till it snaps in, and then this just goes down. So again, this one actually did get stuck. I did not expect that, but you know, if it did, you know, that's what you do. Push this down. And now, yeah, I'm going to put the rest in and then just basically start it up. So the other thing I wanted to mention was I did have to change the battery on this. So this thing came out basically exactly paying attention to the arrows. So the arrows is where usually the stuff dislodges. So I dislodged this faceplate just to get to the battery. So that's one step that I did skip. But let me show you that in this floor model. So if I was to replace something on this facade, you can see there's an arrow there. So I'm just going to depress this arrow. Let me depress this arrow. Usually you have to do it simultaneously on this side, and then this just pops out. So that's what happens here, and then this just pops out. So that's just another example. If you run into that situation, you know, that's what you do. You know, so not all of these are going to be very similar. They're all very similar. You know, if you run into that situation, that's exactly what you do. And then just to pop it back in, you know, they just snap in like that, you know, like that. So paying attention to the arrows help. So that is basically another clue. But that's really it. I am really gonna basically put all of these back in and then just start up the server, and you know, it's just gonna work fine. So that's really it. I replaced all the memory modules, the fans are all set, and now I'm just gonna start up and do my system check. And I hope this helped for the beginners, you know, in seeing how these things are laid out, and not to get intimidated by any of this. And I hope this helps, and please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. So you notice this particular error message is telling me to check the power supply. You know, AC power, check PSU, and then it'll tell me, you know, check the cables, but it'll also say power supply number 4 here to check. So that's how you would know which one is in error. So just to comment on replacing the power supply. So you'll notice in the front panel, it'll tell you which power supply is defective. So you'll see there is a 4 here pointing to this one, a 3 pointing to this one, and a 2 pointing to the second, and the 1 pointing to the first one. So you can easily identify which one from the front panel error message, which one is defective and which one to remove. And then you simply, so I already replaced this particular one, but you simply know, like, you know, to squeeze it. So you're squeezing it, you're releasing this particular, so this rubber piece just fell out. But, you know, squeezing this releases this hooking mechanism, and then you just pull it out. So, you know, push and then pulling this out is how you replace the power supplies. This particular server has 4 power supplies, you know, but they're hot swappable, so that's how you do it.